welcome to If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and
Tym Moss. How are you?
Oh my God, we're just coming off of Pride.
Yes, and believe me, I think I've had enough pride for this year. I'm good.
Tim is feeling quite proud at this point. It was really exceptional this year. I mean,
It really was.
You performed everywhere.
Yeah. Because see, the thing is as we were entering June, the city was still kind of closed down. They were not expecting to really open until July. So all of the organizations, the gay organization or LGBT organizations had canceled their Pride events. Well, then once June hit, everything started opening up. The city started moving. People started going out, and everybody was like, "Well, let's have it. Let's have our event. Let's have our event.
We had a couple of marches, but everything was so unofficial.
Oh no, I mean the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, everybody decided at the last minute that they were going to go ahead and do their events, and we're calling Tim, come host this show, come perform at this one, come do this one, come do that one, and which I'm grateful for. But I went from like zero, because I mean I've been in lockdown for a year.
Miles an hour,
right? And I'm exhausted.
But it was so wonderful. I was with the Imperial Court. We went we went across Christopher Street wearing our gowns, trailing through Christopher Street. I can tell you, we all personally cleaned Christopher Street with our trains, handing out flags, rainbow flags, trans flags, stopping at Stonewall, continuing on to Pride Fest.
Yep.
It was
and then I ran into you at Pride Fest.
And I did an interview with Tim at Pride Fest. But the thing about it was so wonderfully unexpected, and to see there were hundreds of people.
Oh, thousands.
Everywhere, right.
Everybody was
like a regular Pride.
Everybody was so grateful to be out without masks, seeing other human beings, hugging. It was so joyous. It was really glorious.
It really was absolutely magical.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are here today, of course, at PANGEA.
Yes.
Our spot that we're here every week on the Lower East Side. Wonderful place to have dinner. They now have a full roster of entertainment here as well. Tim did his show here.
Yes, I did. Yes.
You know what? I made up the name for your show because I never got the name of your show.
Oh, it's called Tym Moss, alive, fun, fabulous, flamboyant.
And you know what I've been calling it? What you do when you write anything on social media, hashtag Life of Tim. Oh my God, I went and renamed your show. Talk about poetic license.
Well, yes, as you can see, there's a GoFundMe down below for PANGEA,
please.
Because they, of course, were struggling through this pandemic this past year and a half, but they're getting back on their feet, but could still use some helps. And they've been very supportive of the art, so please be supportive of them.
Right.
One pandemic thing that I want to do is, since we have been doing this show here, we have had what I call a pandemic pillow in between us to keep us kind of socially distanced. Well, this is gone.
Oh my God! You went and trashed our pandemic pillow. Do you know when you're not here, what I had to do when you weren't here? I clutched that thing. I did. I pretended that it was Tim next to me. So okay,
sweet.
So
our guest this week.
You're totally gonna love our guest, creative entrepreneur. Oh, good, I said it correctly. Mark Stephen Pooler has overcome extreme adversity, taking resilience from past traumas and turning them into inspirational actions to help other people. What could be better? What could be more generous?
This man is so inspirational and so inspiring. We are so grateful to have him on here as a guest.
Yay! Come on in,
Mark Stephen Pooler. Yay!
Hey Tim, hi Wendy. Thank you so much for inviting me on today. And Tim says he's had enough of Pride already. I am really jealous that we haven't had Pride here in Birmingham in the UK due to restrictions. So count your blessings.
Yes, well, believe me, I partied with Pride for both of us this year. Enough for both of us. So Birmingham. So you're in Birmingham in the UK in England, and so they're still. You were telling us earlier about vaccination. So that is still kind of moving there, correct?
Yes. The population is heavily vaccinated here in the UK. I have had my first shot and I've got my second shot in a few weeks. So fingers crossed I'll be out to the USA at some point.
Yeah, so we'll totally invite you here with us. It's interesting because, you know, the vaccines rolled out very early here. And as I had said earlier to you, they were hard to get just because of the whole internet thing. Now, I mean, there is vaccine everywhere. You can walk through a transportation center and get a vaccine. They want as many people as possible vaccinated.
Yeah, they're setting them up sometimes even outside of like pharmacies and just pretty much anywhere.
And then there's incentives like a joint. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, right.
Like cannabis is an incentive.
Well, they even had a lottery where I think somebody in Ohio won like $1 million or something. They were trying to buy people to get in, get them into.
I think that's where we're going wrong here in the UK. We're not offered a joint to go and get our vaccination. I'm sure they'd be queuing up.
Right. Lines would be snaking around the block. So I think, you know, because your story is so fascinating, I want to start off up front about your book, because that's about you and what you do. Step into Your Brilliance, an entrepreneurship guide for those who want to speak using the power of positive storytelling and social media to position themselves as an expert. Wow. So take it away, Mark.
So when I was building my own profile, I didn't have any skills in public speaking. I just had a big dream and a vision that I wanted to share my story to inspire others. So it took me a long time to build my own profile. I spoke all over the UK for free, didn't earn any money, just to get my name out there. And I didn't want people to struggle like I had struggled. So the book, which I'm happy to say became #1 bestseller in the USA, Canada, and #2 in the UK as well. It's a guide, and it really trains entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs with presentation skills, how to build a keynote speech or presentation. It also teaches them how to levitate their social media platforms, how to sell online, how to create a product and a service, how to create events. And through the book, I do tell my own personal story to teach others how to use their personal stories to build their profiles and to build more success with their social entrepreneurship journeys.
Now, Mark, so when you first started down that path with social media, did you have any experience or any guidance, or did you self-teach? Like learn all of that yourself, because that's so vast and so complex.
6 years ago, I was a hairstylist, a freelance hairstylist, and I joined a network marketing company promoting products online. I did that for 2 years, and I learned a lot of skills with that, like how to brand, how to build a network on social media. I started with 300 friends on Facebook. I'm maxed out on most platforms now. So that was the start of my social media entrepreneurship journey. I have invested thousands of pounds in coaches, mentors, voice coaching, life coaching, business coaching. So I have invested in my own personal development as well.
So you've really honed the craft. This craft of not only absorbing all that knowledge of how to be an online presence or an online entrepreneur, but also how to speak and to relay that information onto others and make a profit from it.
Yes, and that was a problem in the beginning, Tim. I struggled for, I would say, 3 years not being able to monetize my social media business. So I was putting on the brave face, the nice pictures, speaking everywhere, but it did take a lot of self-worth work on myself, a lot of self-improvement to learn a lot of skills, and then creating my own products that people want to then learn how to really monetize my business. So it was a slow process, but it was worth it in the end.
Well, absolutely. And again,
Yeah.
I don't know when it comes to social media that there really is in a shortcut. It just takes time
to build.
and diligence and persistence.
I mean, to me, 6 years, if you look, I look at you, you're a startup, right? What you're talking about is being a startup. It takes time. Those startups don't happen overnight.
Mhm.
You know, and and in some ways it's harder when you're the startup.
Mhm.
You're the product, you're the startup. And then I ask myself this all the time. Well, how do we monetize who we are and what we are and our influence out there? I'm getting your book, by the way.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait.
Yeah, right. Definitely want to get your book.
And I think back then, I still had a lot of growth. I had to grow into the person that I am today. So if I had have got those results back then, I may have not been ready for what I'm achieving now. So sometimes when you look back and connect the dots just to see how far you have traveled forwards, it kind of makes sense. Some of those mistakes and lessons become really valuable, and you realize that everything does happen for a reason.
Right. You know what, Mark? I feel like you're picking all of these thoughts out of my head because and probably Tim's too. This is exactly, I use that phrase, connecting the dots, you know, and often with social media, I feel like the dots aren't connecting because for me, it's business. And for you too. Yes, we like having all the fun with our friends and everything on there. But at the end of the day, this is how we all promote our brands. Now, I'm curious, before we get into your personal story, which fascinates me, what kind of strategies that you can discuss here that you use to get some of your clients, your global clients, branded? What actions do you use?
I am one for human connection. I do think automation is important to a certain degree. So using a calendar link to book appointments, taking you out of the equation a little bit. But I think when it comes to selling yourself and your products and services, for me, I think a human connection and building great relationships is always the best way. When people get on calls with me, video calls, I just connect with people, and I'm not into pushy sales techniques either. Sometimes people use manipulation or pushy techniques. For me, I always come from the heart and share what I've got to offer. And if that connects with whoever I'm chatting to, then that's great. But I'm not one to force things onto people. And I think authenticity goes a long way when you're in social media entrepreneurship. I am currently working on my third book, which is more based around media and PR. So it's an expert book all about media and PR that launches in about 7 weeks. But I've got a new system that I'm building with that, where I will give the book away for free. That will then get them into my email list, and then there will be email sequences. But then that will still sell them the consultation, where I will still get on calls with people. But doing it that way, I'm pre-qualifying people before I get on calls with them, so that I know it's worth getting on calls with them.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And you are using, pardon the expression, as the bait, you're using your book.
Yes.
You're it away. Smart.
Yeah, which is
really
great.
Smart.
Just along that line, because myself, I'm an entertainer. And a lot of my friends, even people that are commenting now, we're all entertainers here in New York City. And to get ourselves and our brand out there. And my brand, I think, is a little bit different than many, because many of my friends are actors or they're singers. And if they're singers, they're in cabaret, or they're in pop music, or they have very specific
categories.
I do all of that. I act, I'm in film and theater and television, in music, I'm a singer, I do cabaret, I do pop, I do, so it's kind of, I've had people before, or coaches, tell me, like, pick one brand and stick with it, but I am all of that.
Right.
So I've just found it rather challenging in how to build up an audience and a following.
Yeah, I would love for you to talk about that, because I'm in the same situation. I'm not a singer, but I do everything. And then I'm a model, comedian. I make films about relevant things that are happening in the world. How do I take all of that? Like Tim, you've got two really great people here today. No, because you know what? And Stephen, you know this, they try and pigeonhole you. And when you have so many things that you do, why should you give up any of those things? I'm not looking to become smaller.
Same here.
I'm looking to become and taking all of my talents and use them. Could you address that for us?
That's actually a great question. And firstly, I know how interesting you both are, because I've looked at both of your social media platforms. I have had people advise me of that in the past. And to me, that is advice I would never take, because I myself like to do lots of different things, and I don't think you have to just stick to one lane. I really don't believe that. I do other things as well. So I do crypto investing and I speak in schools. You don't have to just pick one lane. I think that is something terrible that they say in marketing. I think when you're focusing on one project, you put your energy to that project. Don't try and chase two rabbits at the same time, because you'll miss. But if you just chase one, you will catch it. But that doesn't mean that you can't still be all those amazing things. I checked out both of your profiles, and for me, I could see that you wear all of these different hats, and to me, that just makes you even more interesting. So don't just stick to one thing and one lane, but just be focused with the things that you are working on, and just focus on one or two at a time. But you would still brand yourself under all of the different things that you do, like you already have.
Well, I thank you very much for that validation.
Really?
because I'm telling you, I keep getting all these people and all these different things. I appreciate you're basically telling us we're on the right path.
Yeah.
That we're heading
Which
in the right
I'm
direction.
an instinctive person, and I think I speak for Tim when I say he is too. And I hear stuff that is like in my gut. I know it's totally wrong. I'm not going to listen to it. But it is funny, because like every single thing you've said from the time you came on today, it was as if you were picking those thoughts out of my head. I'm like, yes, Mark's on our team. You're on our team.
He's one of us.
Yes.
Sometimes as well, people like to give you their opinion as well. And I always say, take the bits that are useful, but some things you have to disregard, because there are so many different ways of doing things. You have to find your own way. And if you just follow someone else's way and just go for one hat, you're not being true to who you are, and you're just making yourself smaller, I think.
Absolutely, because and you hit the nail on the head, because people are giving you their opinion on what worked for them in their life.
Right.
They're not considering my life. They haven't lived my life. So they can only give their opinion about what's worked for them.
Or they may not be seeing you clearly.
Right.
They might not see you clearly. Now, I'm curious. I'm sure you're familiar with the book, The Secret.
I love the book The Secret, and I love The Secret movie. I have been fortunate enough to have done media coverage and PR and interviewed most of the original cast of The
Nice.
Secret movie.
Wow.
So I've done an article for Rhonda Byrne, who wrote The Secret. I've done media coverage for Dr. John D. Martini, Dr. Joe Vitale, Dennis Waitley, Bob Doyle, Marie Diamond. There's probably more that I'm missing, but I've been fortunate to have collaborated with most of the original cast of The Secret movie.
That's wonderful. So, and that is basically, for the people that don't know, is kind of a branch of the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Which
manifestation and attraction.
So like Abraham Hicks, you're familiar with Abraham Hicks?
I'm a big Abraham Hicks fan.
Me too. Love Abraham.
I do. Esther.
Yeah, and that I've tried to adopt a lot of that philosophy in my life. I fall short on occasion. I am human, but I try to get back on track. Yeah. But can you explain a little bit about the law of attraction?
Yeah, and manifestation.
So I know it works because I've used it in my life, and I get really good results, and I do manifest things. Sometimes it does take a little bit longer than you originally may want, but my view on the law of attraction is everything that you want to create, you can create within reason. And it starts with positive, empowering belief systems that leads to making better choices. With repetition and action, you can create any future reality that you would like to create. And it's all about focusing on the positive rather than negatives. So many people speak negative, talk bad about others. And if you're focused on negativity, that is what you will attract. The same with the people that you associate with. Associations are really important. People will either lift you up or they will bring you down.
Yeah, and I feel that it has a lot to do, again, the thinking, when you shift your thinking to more positive or for a specific intent, all of a sudden in your perspective, you start noticing things that you might not have noticed before that you can draw on, that you might, again, with negative thinking, you would have just missed and passed it by. So it's kind of a retraining of your thinking and your approach. And also like manifestation, like if you can see it, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can, you in your mind.
You make it real.
You make it real in your mind. It will most likely manifest itself in reality, in your reality.
So I wanted to ask you something about this in regard, with Tim and I, you've got two really easy subjects, we're in the arts, we're already on this track, but you work with a lot of business people as well.
Yeah.
What kinds of challenges or walls do you have to break down to get them to understand these concepts?
I'm quite fortunate that most of my clients are entrepreneurs or action takers. There may be in real estate best-selling authors or authors that want to become best-selling authors, coaches, keynote speakers, motivational speakers. So I am fortunate that they already know the value of these concepts of law of attraction. Just going back to what Tim mentioned though, visualization is so important. And if you think of an Olympic gold medalist, they visualize themselves winning the race before they are actually doing the race. And it's exactly the same as us as entrepreneurs wanting to create success. You should visualize the person that you want to be. And I tend to visualize as though it's already done, it's already happened, because that is the way that you manifest, because you see the end result, and then you're coming from a place of your future self, and you show up from that place as well. And I think gratitude is really important as well, because if you, some people may think they've got nothing to be grateful of. I always say the shirt on your back, the air that you breathe, the fresh water that you drink, the food that you eat. There's always something to be grateful of. And the more you focus on gratitude, more and more things come in your life to be grateful of.
Absolutely. And all of those people that you had mentioned before, the entrepreneurs, they're people who already think outside the box. They think different and more experimental, and try this and try that. And they've had to, otherwise they wouldn't be entrepreneurs.
Right. And I think because of how you think, because I asked you, what do you do if you get someone that's got walls around them? And you basically answered, you don't deal with that, because you're attracting like,
Right.
The people that are obviously open to this already. Completely fascinating to me. So I really want to hear about how Mark evolved.
Yeah, me too.
To this.
Fascinating.
So I come from a past of being severely bullied about the way I looked and about my sexuality from the very first day I started school. So I would get caught. You go, Tim.
I was just going to ask you, as far as your sexuality, is that gay? Are you gay or?
I'm gay, yes.
Okay. So yeah, I can relate to that. So go ahead.
So from the very first day of school, I would get called big chin, big ears, gay, queer, you name it, I was called it. That led to me having really low self-esteem and low self-confidence, and I purposely went to a secondary school that no one from primary school was going to. That was great for the first couple of weeks. I didn't get bullied, but then that didn't last long. Only the bullying was a lot worse. I remember going from school one day, and one of the hard lads come and kicked me in my back for no reason, and I had to run the 2 miles home. My education really suffered because I started to play up to make people laugh, to calm down the bullying. So I left school with a really bad education. By the age of 15, I started drug taking, and it started with soft drugs to start with, things like amphetamines, ecstasy, cannabis. And then by the age of 21, my life had spiraled out of control, and I was addicted to crack cocaine and heroin. I went out on a party night out with friends. I tried a new party drug, dancing away on the dance floor 1 minute, having the time of my life. And the next minute I woke up in hospital. I just collapsed and died from drug use. So my chest had all been shaven where shockers had been used on me, and bruises all up my arm where adrenaline had been pumped into me to bring me back to life. I was living a bad life. My life was spiraling out of control.
Wow.
There's so much to unpack there.
This is like, wow. You died. Basically, you died.
Wow. Firstly, I had developed over the course of 20 years an extreme drug and alcohol addiction. My drug of choice was cocaine. I would sniff the cocaine.
Me too.
For 20 years. Literally, I have no septum in my nose. You could literally hang a hanger in my nose.
But your nose looks good. Stevie Nicks' her nose collapsed. Yours, Tim's nose
does happen.
But I also tried crack cocaine while I was doing that. That is no joke. That is very powerful. and very difficult to get off of. How long were you addicted to the crack? Because that takes such a toll on the human body so fast.
Crack cocaine and heroin was a very short period of my drug taking.
Wow.
So softer drugs
You were
like
blackballing.
ecstasy, cannabis, amphetamines, cocaine, I did that for quite a long period of my life. Heroin, crack cocaine was a short period. I would say maybe 6 months at the most.
Wow,
And then I collapsed and died. Now, after I come out of the hospital, a couple of days after that, my mum caught me in my bedroom taking crack cocaine. She came into the bedroom, grabbed the crack pipe off me. She ran outside with the crack pipe, chucked it down the drain, and she did one of the best things she could have ever have done for me. I didn't say that at the time, but she kicked me out of the family home. So it went from me living with parents to me having to get my own place, looking after myself. And like I mentioned earlier, I moved away from all the associations that were dragging me down. And that's why I say the people you associate with is really important. But most importantly, as soon as that had happened, I give up crack cocaine and heroin just by using the power of my mind. I didn't see a doctor. I didn't have medical substitutes. What a friend gave me a law of attraction book well before The Secret was around. And I really started using the power of my mind correctly. I did carry on a party lifestyle for another 5 to 7 years, taking softer drugs, but I did give up the hard drugs, crack cocaine and heroin. And I would just like to add, if there is anyone suffering with any kind of addiction, any kind of bullying, it's okay to get medical assistance, see a doctor. Even though I didn't do it, you should never suffer alone. See a mentor, teacher, friend, someone that you can trust, a family member. And that is what the medical people are there for. So don't be ashamed to see a doctor. They will be able to support you. But myself, I did it just by going through cold turkey, hot and cold shivers, and I didn't use a doctor or medical assistance.
Wow. I need to ask you this. I want to go back. This is, as Tim said, there's a lot to unpack here. Your mother came in. This is after you had died. We're in the hospital. You come back home. Your mother comes into your room and sees that you've got the pipe. You're doing crack cocaine. She rips this away from you. That was a huge turning point for you. And I have so many questions about that. Like, what was it? Your relationship with your mother? Was it like the rock bottom that you had hit with yourself? What was happening at that time?
Looking back, I put my mom through a lot of stress, and she had problems with my other brothers as well. So there was addiction from my brothers as well. And they had stronger addictions than what I did. Yet I was the one that was in hospital dead. So she wasn't expecting it from me. And I just think it was so hard for my mom to see us all throwing our lives away. And that was her way of coping, chucking me out, getting me away from the area. And I was used to having meals on the table, all my ironing done for me. So it went from me being looked after to having to look after myself. And I really had to grow up quickly.
That was hard for your mother. That's tough love. That was hard for a mother to do.
Absolutely. But I want to go back just even a little bit further, a couple days before that. You were on these drugs. You woke up in the hospital. You literally died
Yeah.
One question I have is, did you have like out of body experience or anything during during your death?
Yeah.
The other question is, that is a major moment. And that didn't shake you at all. You just got right back up and picked up the pipe again. What like your thinking?
Yeah,
Your thinking was just, I don't really care. I'll do it again until I die. Or, I mean, there was a lot of desperation in there. A lot of desperation going on.
Firstly, can you just go back to the first question you asked me? Can you just elaborate on what you said? So
the out of body.
Well, a lot of times people, when they die on the table,
they
they go down a tunnel, they see a bright light. Did any of that occur?
So when I woke up, I didn't believe I had collapsed and died. So my mum was over my bed saying, "You've collapsed and died. Did you know that you have collapsed and died?" And I just didn't believe it. I thought, yeah, I've probably collapsed, but you're trying to scare me. And at the time, I didn't have an out-of-body experience. But after that, I had a really vivid dream that was really vivid. And it was like there was people around me, and I could hear them saying, "Put your hand on his chest." And that kind of felt like a flashback to some kind of out-of-body experience. So I didn't at the time, but I did in a dream afterwards.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really amazing. Now, the second part again was just a lot of time from me, from personal experience, was the pain, the misery that I was experiencing in my life at the time. The drugs relieved that. They helped me to escape that temporarily, the pain. Was that what was going on with you, that you were just told that you died because of these drugs, and you're willing to pick it up and take that chance again?
So this will probably shock you all.
No,
we don't shock easily here.
Once I left the hospital, my mum was driving me home with my stepdad. I'd still got the sticky pads on my chest from the heart monitor machines. I played up and made my mum and stepdad drop me back off at an house party that was still going on from the clubbing. And I carried on taking ecstasy the day that I was just left the hospital. Looking back, I'm a different person now, and I know how crazy it was. But at the time, I lived for weekends. I lived for partying and taking drugs. I was hiding my insecurities. I had no direction for the future. I was suffering with low self-esteem, low self-confidence. I just didn't think of the consequences after that. To me, I just wanted to go out and get wasted.
Right. Well, you wanted to go out and
hide it,
alter your reality. You wanted to.
I often wonder, because I've never been. I take risks, but never those kinds of risks, because you just hit on something. The consequences. So and this is a question for both of you, when a person is addicted, all right, when a person needs that numbness to take away the pain, to take away this low self-esteem, why are they not thinking of the consequences? Someone like me would be thinking, especially in your case, I mean, you died. They let you out of the hospital, and the first thing you can think of is, oh, I want to go to a party and do some ecstasy. Well, how is that working where you're not thinking I could die again? Does a person so not care about their life at that point? That's what I'm asking.
I think in the beginning, it's all fun when you're on a high, being totally honest with you, I have had some incredible nights out on substances. I'm not saying go out and do it, and I don't do it anymore.
Right.
But I have to speak honestly. I've had great times with great people and had really fun times. When you're on the high, it's incredible. But all week you will be low. I used to suffer with headaches. I lost a lot of weight. You definitely suffer with mental health through the week. But it just starts out as a little bit of fun and just going out a little bit and partying and doing a little bit of something. But it can easily spiral out of control. And I think people do think of the consequences, but at the same time, they want that high to have a socialize with friends, and everyone else seems to be doing it, and it's so easily to get led by what other people are doing as well. So that's why it's so important that you surround yourself with the right kind of people.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, and again, you hit on a few things too, which for me, the feeling of elation, it felt so good. And when, like you said, when you come down, you feel horrible. I mean, your body is messed up. Your thinking's messed up. You got a headache. You've got this. So between those two things, what would you choose? To go back up again? To go back up. Because, and then when you stop, it's going to come down. You feel like crap. Your life sucks. All of this crap is going on. Let me go back up again. It's a matter of just wanting to go back up and back up and back up. Yes. And again, it took me years of rehab and learning and law of attraction and all of that to realize that I can be up without using a substance in my body.
Yes.
But again, it's not something that comes easily. It's something that you have to, because one thing that I learned with rehab, and one thing I think you learned, I mean, you are a walking example of how powerful the human mind is, and the human condition really is. If you if you rehabbed on your own without medication, that is mind power. That is a very strong mind. But it can be done. It's hard for someone who's in that situation to think otherwise. You know, it is very difficult, but I commend you. I congratulate you. I am so impressed with you. Firstly, everyone watching, you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our amazing, amazing guest, the fabulous Mark Steven Pooler.
Yay. Mark, I want to ask you, because you've touched on so many things. I need another 2 hours on this show.
Yeah, right.
But,
exactly.
We don't have that. So I need this answer from me. You mentioned about the self-acceptance. All right. That that you were now accepted. So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Did a lot of this, in your case, everyone's got a different story, come from the low self-esteem and bullying, and then losing your education along the way? So there was nothing. You needed the self-acceptance of your peers or whoever you were hanging out with. You needed people to validate who Mark Steven Pooler was. Is that what happened?
That's exactly right. Bullying does really, really affect you, especially when you're a child. But even in workplaces, bullying can be really, really traumatic. And even though the wounds had healed, the scars were very much still there. So low self-esteem, low self-confidence, partying with friends because I felt I could be someone that I wasn't confident to be without drugs. It really made me open up and be able to speak. But also, I always had a dream when I was leaving school, I wanted to do acting, because when I was younger, I used to do like theatre and television extras. But my mum said to me, it's expensive to go to drama school, get a real job. So that was why I started hairdressing. And I wasn't really following my true passion and my true purpose. So I would say to anyone, no matter what you want to do, no matter how big that vision or dream is, it's really important that you do follow your passions and your dreams. Absolutely. I truly believe you can achieve anything, and I think that's why I do now what I do now. I feel like I'm truly following what I wanted to do when I was younger.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's something that I always say now, and I tell all of the younger kids now, find what brings you joy in this life and do it. Forget what everybody else has to say. That is what you're supposed to be doing. Your life is supposed to be joyful. Find what brings you that joy and do that. Feel alive. Right.
Were you able to heal your relationship with your mother?
I'm very close to my mom. I'm very close to my dad. And yes, I've got a great circle of friends around me. And I'm living a great life. I've recently started with a fitness coach. I've lost 12 or 13 pounds so far.
You look amazing from here. You look nice and slim.
Yeah.
So I'm living a healthy lifestyle. I do have a few drinks when I'm eating meals out very occasionally, but that's just socializing and very
amazing
part of just having a nice, fun life, balanced life, business, friendships, work-life balance. So I've got great relationships now.
Wonderful. And isn't that a full life that just makes everything so full and balanced?
And I just wouldn't change my past, even though it's really traumatic. I do honestly think what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and
I believe that.
In all of those stressings, it is a blessing that now I can share my story and inspire others, and it's made me really resilient and strong, and it's made me the person that I am today.
Yeah. Well, I for one, and I'm sure I speak for Wendy, we are so proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm so ridiculously proud of you. Congratulations. Because right now you're a PR specialist, you're a public speaker, you're radio host, TV, television. You were an author. And I love the name of this, Step Into Your Brilliance. Yep. An entrepreneurship guide for those who want to speak using the power of positive storytelling and social media to position themselves as an expert. Love that.
It's really what you're giving to people. You're giving such an incredible gift. We have some great comments here. I want to take a look. I love sharing the comments.
Just going down the list, our buddy Nick Lyon says, "Hey guys, happy Pride Month."
Happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride.
Apollo Cabrera says, "Awesome." Now,
John,
John Jigan Griffin Attil. He's a good buddy of ours that tunes in weekly. It says, "Good to see you all. Oh, Mark, this bullying you experience breaks my heart. But I applaud that you are here today and a successful, authentic person. Right. My heart extends to you for the path you walked and all that yet lies before you. Bless you."
Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teresa Sabin always tunes in. Thank you, Teresa. This has been such an incredible inspiration for all of us. I'm definitely getting your book because the connecting the dots and the monetizing is very challenging for me.
Well, I think for a lot of artists, a lot of us independent artists, simply because like in the art world, the commodity, the field has changed drastically over the past 15 to 20 years. artists are expected now to be their own promoter, to be their own PR, to be their own writer, like in music, to write, to be the composer, to produce the music, to promote it, to market it, to do all of
and
this,
not
to
get the
be
money
your own,
to do all of it.
right? To be your own manager, to be your own booking agent, to do all of that, to get this much time to be the artist. And then you work and do all of this, and they
you really
expect
hit it
you.
on the head.
They don't want to talk to you unless you have 100,000 or 250,000 followers. How do you get those followers? But through all of this work and constant business. Just the business far outweighs the art at much of the time.
Well, that's well put.
And that's what's so frustrating.
And it's
for
not
so
balanced.
many.
It's
for
not
so,
balanced.
But for so many artists, because most artists do not have that business brain.
And I think that is the life of an entrepreneur as well. You pretty much summed it up. And monetizing is one of the hardest things. And you have to get that certain level of confidence as well to get on calls and sell yourself and sell your services. So that's why it's important to get those skills in order to be able to do a lot of the things that you have mentioned. And also Step Into Your Brilliance is available on Audible, so I would probably recommend the Audible version of it, because then you can just listen and take it in audio as well.
I like that. Can you talk about Brilliance Business for a minute?
Brilliance Business is my radio show, which is on Business Innovators Radio Network, which is a USA radio network. That's where I interview great guests in business, and I spotlight them on the show, all about their products, the services, how they support their clients, book launches. And then I have Brilliance Business TV show. That is a web TV show that is on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes. And that goes out to Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, and all social media. And again, I have great guests. I've had Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul series. You may have heard of him. He's been on the show. I've had Bob Doyle, Marie Diamond on the show from The Secret Movie. And again, I just interview great guests about business on both shows. One's radio and one's web TV.
Incredible.
Well, and where can people find that again?
People can go to my platform, www.mspnewsglobal.com. That's mspnewsglobal.com. And that's my publishing platform, where you'll find lots of great articles that I do for great entrepreneurs and business leaders, and also my television channels on there as well. So if anyone wants to check that out, they can go to mspnewsglobal.com.
We've got it running across the bottom of the screen too. You know what I do want to talk to you about? You said you speak in schools now. Tell me what that experience is like, because you were bullied in school. Now you're speaking in schools. What is that like?
I haven't spoken in schools for the last year due to the pandemic. The reason I speak in schools is my way of giving back and being of service, because I know how hard I had it at school. So when I go into schools and talk about bullying, drug awareness, mental health, sexuality and body image issues, that just really feeds my soul, knowing that I could be changing lives and helping people that have been through those things that I have been through. You asked me what it was like. The first time I did it, I was petrified because I was bullied as a child.
Right.
I was really scared of young teenagers. So it was a huge fear going on that stage. But once I got on the stage, they were really, really welcoming. They were really polite, and they were really receptive to the message I had to share. And the fear went then, but it was a big fear to go and do that. I was thinking, oh my God, they're going to all bully me or boo me.
Right.
But it wasn't like that at all. And it's just so rewarding. I was recently hired by HMP, Her Majesty's Prison Service. I was going to go in and do a talk for prisoners. I was really excited that Her Majesty had hired me to go and speak. And unfortunately, that got cancelled due to the pandemic. But hopefully that will be happening next year.
Yeah, what an opportunity.
But I would imagine, like, just walking back into a school, and even just like the smell of a school, like all of that would be very triggering.
Sensory, all of a sudden.
It would be very triggering.
Yes.
And then standing in front of an assembly of a whole, school.
And when I got there to one of the talks, it was boys only. And obviously I connected with girls at school, and it was always the boys that bullied me. So I turned up at this school thinking there was going to be boys and girls, and it was an all-boys school. And that really added to the fear as well. But it went amazing, and that fear has gone now.
Yes, wonderful. And do you find, because to me, I think, at least here in the United States, they have put a lot more emphasis over the past several years, like the past 10 to 20 years, on bullying. And they've shined a light, because when I was growing up, bullying was just it just happened, and they didn't do anything about it. Now they've been cracking down these past several years and making an issue of it, like proving that it is wrong.
Right.
Don't do this. Don't treat your fellow students this way.
Well, especially when we were growing up, I didn't have internet. Bullying was done physically, like what happened to you. Then the internet so completely compounded it. The amount of suicides of kids from being bullied on the internet is tragic.
I think bullying does still happen, and a lot more could still be done. But it is a lot better than it used to be. And another thing, when I was at school, teachers weren't allowed to talk about homosexuality. There was a section, section something, it was a number where they couldn't talk about sexuality. So even though I was getting called gay, queer, they wasn't really allowed to address it when I was back at school. And I'm sure it does still happen now, but sexuality is a lot more open and a lot more accepted now. It was a lot harder when I was younger.
Absolutely. This younger generation now, they're all like, oh, okay, so you're gay, so you're trans, you're non-binary, you're gender, they don't care. They don't, and that's how it should be.
It should.
But again, thank you, Mark Stephen Pooler, for sharing your amazing life experience. And again, we are so proud of you and your successes, and how you've taken this pain and suffering and human experience that you've had and turned it into success and a successful entrepreneurial operation.
What a gift you're giving to the people that you're speaking to, the shows that you have, the writings that you do, and a gift that you gave to Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss today on If These Walls Can Talk, and all of our people that are watching. I mean, it's just, wow. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Wendy. I have thoroughly enjoyed our time together today. I love the energy of your show. It's absolutely amazing. So keep up the great work, guys. And I'm really grateful for you taking your time today to interview me. I've really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, so have we. This has been absolutely wonderful. Yes. And again, you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with Tym Moss and Wendy Stuart.
And we'll see you next week.
Our wonderful guest, Mark Stephen Pooler. Thank you very much. Have a good week.
Bye, everybody.